Welcome to Year of Connection, a year-long journey toward becoming whole self-connected. I'm your host, Pauline Shu. We talked last week about asking for forgiveness, but in this episode, we're going to look at the flip side of that, giving forgiveness, why it's important, how to go about doing it, and what it entails. In the Path of Purification, or Visuddhimagga, a 5th century Buddhist rather colorfully wrote, "What is the point of your getting angry with another? By doing this, you are like one who wants to hit another, and picks up a burning ember or excrement in his hand, and so first burns himself or makes himself stink." Now, perhaps not surprisingly, this exact quote did not become as popular as the paraphrased version that does not contain any references to excrement. I can't quite imagine what that quote would look like on a motivational poster. But the gist is the same, and in a strange way, I actually prefer this version. And that's primarily because the original words are attributed to their rightful creator, who is a man named Buddhaghosa. I don't think anyone can argue with the visceral impact of the image that his comparison generates, that holding on to that figurative burning ember, your anger, actually harms you. You might be wondering exactly how holding on to anger harms you. Likely because many of us have heard the expression righteous anger, or we've seen instances where anger and outrage can fuel change. I do agree with that the initial spark toward action is sometimes anger that is rightfully placed, and it can help inspire action that results in significant improvements to life and to society. But at some point, successful efforts that might initially be driven by rage are overtaken by the bigger desire for positive change. The anger usually falls by the wayside in favor of building something good. If you don't take this path, where anger is converted into positive action, and you continue to hold on to your resentment instead, Buddhaghosa's words have been proven by modern science to be true. Anger hurts us by manifesting itself in our physical bodies through increased blood pressure. It puts stress on our hearts and can even lead to depression and make it more difficult to heal from illness or injury. And on the flip side, as a study in the International Journal of Psychophysiology found, practicing forgiveness and being a forgiving person resulted in the people in the study taking fewer medications and using less alcohol, in addition to having lower blood pressure. Practicing forgiveness and being a forgiving person has physical benefits in addition to the mental and emotional ones. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you have to welcome the person who wronged you into your life again. I talked about it last week, but we as a society often conflate forgiveness with going on as though nothing has changed. And that's certainly not true. You can forgive someone and let go of a grudge. You can let go of that burning ember of anger that you have against them without allowing them back into your life in the same way that they had been before. When you forgive someone, that doesn't mean the knowledge about their past transgression is wiped away, but the anger about it is. That means you can recognize who they are now, as well as remember who they used to be, without feeling anger about what they might have done that wronged you. But your level of connection might still be incompatible even with that forgiveness. And that's okay. Having empathy and understanding in place for the other person can help both of you move on. And moving on might not mean moving on together. Are there grudges you might be holding on to? If there are, ask yourself why. What is it that you gain from not granting forgiveness? Does it make you feel better about yourself? Safer, less anxious? Do you think it makes you more interesting to others by having a dramatic story to tell about how you were wronged? It might not be easy to understand. Facing the reasons why you're holding a grudge might actually be more painful than the wrong that was committed against you. But once you do sit down, think about it, write about it in your life notes if you need to, it is a short-lived pain. It might be intense and it might feel scary to work through it, but when you are on the other side, the benefits of forgiveness are immense, much bigger than any perceived benefits you might have from holding on to your anger. If you are struggling to give forgiveness, take a moment and go through your life notes again. Look at your core connections. Think about the people you know who are good at forgiveness or whom you perceive to be forgiving, and reach out to them. Talk to them about forgiveness and ask them how they go about letting go of anger. I find no better guidance on giving forgiveness than that which I receive from people who have walked the path themselves. If there is no one you can name who is a quote-unquote forgiveness expert, so to speak, then part of your problem might be your network. Are they supporting you in keeping that grudge? Have your contacts enabled your anger? If so, consider taking a step back for a while until you can get a handle on how to move forward. You might even end up having to reevaluate your core connections, and that's okay too. Focusing on the positives and on the healthy relationships that you can have when you let go of your anger can be a great way toward forgiveness. There is a practice called restorative justice, of which I am a huge fan. It's an approach to justice in which the perpetrator and the victim work together with the support of everyone affected by the wrong committed. In the case of criminal wrongdoing, this might also include law enforcement and neighbors, but certainly it always includes members of the community at large. And the goal of working together is to make reparations that are long-lasting. It's an involved process that requires a significant time investment, but implementations of restorative justice have been proven to be more effective long-term in both reducing repetition of the offense and building stronger, healthier communities. At the heart of restorative justice, perhaps not surprisingly, is forgiveness, which is reached through discussions that focus on empathy and understanding, coupled with actionable steps toward making amends. In today's show notes, I share a link to more information on restorative justice. There's also a link to the International Journal of Psychophysiology study on forgiveness if you'd like to learn more. And if you've enjoyed listening to this episode or any other Year of Connection episode, please consider leaving a rating on iTunes or any other app you're listening on. I'd very much appreciate it. I urge all of you to practice forgiveness, whether or not you have outstanding forgiveness that you need to extend. Going forth every day with an attitude toward being a forgiving person makes life happier, healthier, and more connected. I'll see you next week. In the meantime, I wish you safe travels.